What's up, everyone? Hope everybody out there is off to a great day. Here we are, week number 2 of this NASCAR Trial, day 6 in the courtroom. Some interesting things taking place in the courtroom today as Race Team Alliance executive Jonathan Marshall on the stand for questioning. Also, economist Edward Snyder is up there talking about some of the scenarios, charters, revenues, things like that. It's going to be broke down, and we're going to be talking about all that in tomorrow's episode. Another interesting point, Judge Bill kind of bringing up to the race team's attorneys today. Hey, man, we need to wrap this up. He's wanting to have this wrapped up tomorrow. They still got Jim France, Steve Phelps, and old RC Richard Childress to take the stand. So, there's going to be some pretty damn interesting testimony and conversations and all of that I'm looking forward to talking about. But today, I want to revisit Friday in the courtroom. Michael Jordan, some key points about this right here. Obviously, Michael Jordan is co-owner of 2311. And a legend on his own right here. And we're also going to be talking about Heather Gibbs representing Joe Gibbs Racing in the courtroom. But also, big part I want to bring up today is Curtis Polk. Now, if you don't know who Curtis Polk is, he has been the business manager for Michael Jordan for over 3 decades. He's also been a minority owner with Jordan in the Charlotte Hornets as well as 2311. And if you don't know the story about this, Michael Jordan bought the Charlotte Hornets for $275 million, sold it for $3 billion 13 years later. And Curtis Polk made a little profit with that as well right there. But in the courtroom, it's been painted with this picture right here that Jordan is trying to make NASCAR structure its system more like the NBA. And Jordan's saying, hey, what we need to do is get some more shared responsibility with everything. The things that they want right now, this would share responsibility, which he terms that would be good for the healthiness of the sport to grow. And by each side doing more, it's going to be beneficial, profitable to everybody involved with everything right here. But NASCAR is getting upset about this because they're saying, hey, man, this system isn't broke. This is a private entity. It doesn't include you right now to make decisions and things like this. And as a private entity, we've been successful. We have went on for years and years and years, and that's very rare that a private owned entity like this succeeds in a situation like this. But they're saying, we've done it. So we think we're pretty cool with everything that's going on. It was also brought up that why would Michael Jordan even buy into this? Why is he part of NASCAR and everything else? What made this happen? And he's saying, hey, him and Denny friends. Then he was like, look, we got this opportunity. I want to get into this as far as a race team. We can invest in here and everything else. And told him that, we could probably make about a $900,000 profit right there. And I'm taking this as probably being the first year that was figuring they can make $900,000 on that year. And on the stand, he was asked Michael Jordan, have you made a reasonable profit in NASCAR? To which he said, yes. But Jordan is also going on to say that the reason behind this is because of the manner that they run this system. They run it in a professional manner, which I'm very sure everybody does, but also saying that he's got his star power to lean back on, meaning this is Michael Jordan. He can lure in sponsorships and everything else. There's things that they have done in the past with other businesses and everything else that they can make this work that some of the other teams don't have the availability to do with this right here. And Jordan said that he doesn't view the current system as equitable and just finds the nature of the business as unfair. So that's why he's there doing all these things right here at this point. But then it was brought up, well, why would you buy more charters? If you didn't view this as being a beneficial deal, why would you continue to buy charters? They paid $4.7 million for the first charter that they purchased, $13.5 million for the second charter, and then $28 million for the third charter. So each time going up in price, doubling, more than doubling with each time right here. But Jordan went on to say that, the more charters, that's the more opportunities we have to win a championship, to win races, and also bringing up that these are so rare that you get an opportunity to buy a charter that you have to jump on it when the opportunity is there. So, he's painting this picture of this is business. We're just trying to be fair. Everybody be successful. Everybody make money. We'll all be good. But NASCAR is bringing up the point of Curtis Polk here with this right here because they're basically labeling him as an outsider to this right here. Now, they've also went on to say that Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan, obviously big fans of of NASCAR, big parts of racing. Jordan's went on in the past to say that his dad used to take him, all the family, to the races, something that's been a part of his life. So, he wants to be part of this right here. But the whole thing is what they're trying to say about Curtis Polk is that he got into this to either make a profit or to eventually sue NASCAR, that he had plans way back then at the original point that he was going to sue him if things didn't work out. And they've also brought up documents and evidence right here where, where Polk has told different people, including Michael Jordan, that he finds the races boring as shit. That's his words, not mine. And also painful to watch. So obviously they're saying, hey, your business partner over here don't even like racing. The hell's he doing in it? Why? Oh, now we know why he's doing this, because he wants to make a dime off of this. So that's what they're trying to put into this right here. And the NASCAR attorneys have asked Jordan on the stand if Polk enjoyed racing, which Michael Jordan said obviously not, which is painting that picture pretty easily right there. But they also went on to say or present evidence that where Curtis Polk had told Jordan that the plan is to be a pest to NASCAR, to have a mosquito bite every week. So showing that he had some actions and things that he was doing. He was going to kind of pick at it every week, and also that he would leak any kind of financial proposals to the media at every opportunity he could. So again, trying to present this picture of him as maybe being a little bit of a bad guy more than a good guy. Excuse me, a good guy who's out for everybody else. But I did an episode on this whole thing right here 3 years ago. I might bring up more of this into the future, might revamp it so I can show you some of the concerns I had then, because damn it if they didn't come true. But also on the stand was Heather Gibbs, representing JGR out there. Now, she is the daughter-in-law of Joe Gibbs, the mother of Ty Gibbs, and the widow of Coy Gibbs, Joe Gibbs' son. And following the passing of Coy, she took on more of a role, day-to-day role in Joe Gibbs Racing right here. And throughout everything, she learned more of the business. She learned more of the models that were taking place and everything else. And throughout all the negotiations, she ended up writing a letter to the leaders of NASCAR, Jim France, where she was responding to some claims by the NASCAR commissioner, Steve Phelps, who called the spending of the teams reckless. So he's saying it's not our problem. These teams are out here just spending reckless money. They're buying this, buying that, things that they don't need. That's their problem, not ours. And in her letter, she said that the teams needed a new economic model for everything, and also bringing up permanent charters, which she termed differently that we're going to get to, because we keep hearing permanent. But she had a thought process with this right here. And she also brought up that when they were presented with this deadline, you know, they had a 1 hour deal right here. Basically, at 5 o'clock on September 6th of 2024, they said, here's your deal. You got 1 hour to sign it or get the hell out of here. And at this point, Joe Gibbs himself was pretty much begging Jim France, just telling him, man, don't do this to us. We've gave so much to this right here. We've all been invested in everything else, just like you have. Don't do this to us. But that's the way it was. She stated in this final draft that they gave him at 5 p.m. that it was full of grammar errors. There was other errors and everything else in it. And that they just basically went on to say, hey, either sign it or get the hell out. You don't have a charter. It's been called a gun to the head moment with this deal right here. So that's kind of the way it was. But NASCAR went on to say, don't worry about those errors or anything else. We'll fix it in side letters. We'll take care of that after you sign it. So, man, it's kind of crazy, first of all, to think that you would give somebody 1 hour to completely review a contract with attorneys, with your team, with everybody invested in this, other owners, sponsors. I mean, they did give them till midnight. Never mind. Keep that to myself. But she also stated that in this contract, it didn't guarantee any broadcast revenue for the 7 years following this extension. There was nothing brought up. So evidently there's a lot of other things saying this is what will be in the next contract, but they didn't include it in this. She didn't like that. And at this point, she called Jim France with her concerns, and told her that I have these worries, I have those worries, which Jim France told her, I'm done with this conversation. I don't want to hear it. And also went on to say, if I wake up tomorrow and only got 20 charters, so be it. I got 20 charters out there. And we've already discussed this. They had contingency plans. They had other ideas of what they were going to do. So in a way, they kind of didn't care whether the hell anybody signed them or not, because they were going to go do what they wanted to do. And interestingly, if you saw my episode on the SRX series, one of those ideas was kind of the copy of the SRX series with presenting their own race cars that they owned by hiring their own drivers to come in. Man, that would have been a wild deal. That would have been so wild right there to kind of bitch about another series and go do the same damn thing that they were doing. But when asked, pretty much, why would you sign this then? What was the deal with signing this? And she just had to go on to say, This is the legacy of the Gibbs right here. At the legacy of her husband, Coy Gibbs, JD, JD Gibbs. Both of these men who have passed, who put so much into this race team, Joe Gibbs and everything else. And that if they didn't sign this, there was the risk that everything that they had worked for would be gone. And that was just too much for her to bear at this time. Again, with losing her family and everything else. And now here's the opportunity. You could lose your charter. But 1 hour, which was extended until midnight. You have 1 hour to make your decision. In cross-examination, though, they went on to ask her why the permanent charters was such an issue. Why was this such a continuous issue other than something that they could negotiate every year? So, hey, why are you worried about a permanent charter? We'll renegotiate this every year. But she stated that she used the term auto renewal instead of permanent in her deal. And she said the reason why is because Jim France just honestly was opposed. He does not like the word permanent from race teams. So, pretty interesting right here. But, man, again, we got really wild testimony coming up. Looking forward to looking through the testimony of today to present to you tomorrow. But, again, where do you stand with everything right now? You consider Curtis Polk an outsider to this racing series, to the NASCAR series. Do you think his whole sole interest in this was just to make profit and not to be part of anything as far as enjoying the aspects like most people do in racing, but just purely his business? And also, where do you stand right now on this deal? Siding with the teams, side with NASCAR, anything change your mind at all? And do you think, this is something I ain't brought up. What do you think about the deal of giving that deadline like that? In my opinion, I know there was a lot of negotiations, but I think there could have been a little better way to handle this than saying, here, let's go. It's been termed as a gun to the head scenario. So, anyways, hope everybody out there is having a great week. I might do this whole thing of taking that episode of Curtis Polk and where I was at 3 years ago, kind of revamp it, show some thoughts. But anyways, hope you're having a great week out there, man. And as always, we'll see you at the checkered flag.